So I just finished up a wall ball workout. I'm pretty limited in what I can do with the ACL, but I want to go over some of the things I was thinking about during it and like what I was doing and kind of my focus right now and like what's going through my head. The biggest thing I'm trying to focus on right now is all like one-handed work and kind of working with constraints. Since I can't really do much, it's all for me about like what boundaries can I push besides like moving my legs. Because when I do wall ball normally, I normally make it a little bit harder, or like I kind of add the constraint by running a lot, like splitting a lot, but I can't do that at all right now. So I'm spending a lot more time with the short stick in my hands than I normally do, and I'm doing a lot of one-handed work more than I normally do, which I'm really psyched about. I think every time I do a lot of one-handed work, especially before I go into practice, I notice I play way better in that next practice, especially with work with my left hand. It just creates a really good habit of not like using your stick like a lever. You know, you kind of it's more top hand heavy, and that's almost always what I want when I'm playing. So my entire goal with this period is to get really, really good wrist strength so that when I do get my legs back and I move back to using a pole more, I'll be super ready. And like, I think wrist strength might be the most underrated thing that any lacrosse player can get, and I think I haven't utilized it enough. Like guys like Tom Schreiber just have ridiculous wrist strength, and the way that they play, it completely complements them. And I think every like pro lacrosse player has probably wrist strength beyond belief, but that like ability to flick and in your shot and when you're passing and on GBs too. I see it, guys like Billy Dwan, when I watch him play, he has really good GB skills. I think a lot of that is his just innate wrist strength. So that's a big focus for me. And then using the short stick kind of has another constraint because I'm so used to using a pole all the time that getting a short stick in my hand always helps, in my opinion. It can feel a little bit awkward at first, but kind of like switching things up like that is what I've been trying to do because I can't do a whole lot. And I notice whenever I play box before I go into a practice or like mid-season, or not mid-season, in like the fall, and then we go into other practices, I notice I'm way more confident with the ball when I get my pole back in my hands. When I was in high school, I was super like adverse to having a short stick in my hands because I was worried it would like make me uncomfortable with the long pole. But I really don't think that's like true at all. I think getting a short stick in your hand whenever you can to challenge yourself a little bit is a huge benefit as a pole. And then once you get that long pole back in your hands, you're just gonna feel that much comfortable. There's always that little like transition period, but it's, for me, I think it's always one of the best decisions that I make when I'm training. So more one-hand work. And I think with these sessions is like, it's so hard to push myself because I can't run, I can't move. And it's like, you can only do so many quick sticks. You can only do so much just natural wall ball, so many splits, that it's like, how do you find that next level of difficulty? Because if you're not like pushing yourself at all in those ways, then you're just not going to get better. It's kind of just like maintaining when I'm doing wall ball out here during this period. So I think the only like working solution I have is just having really, really strong focus on every single rep, because like it might not make much of a difference skill wise, but that skill of learning to focus when you play is so important. Because when you do like work, when you do like schoolwork, or like if you have a job that's like a knowledge job, you know that everyone talks about how important focus is when you're going. Like you go check your phone for a second and you go back to your work, you lose that kind of motivation, you lose that strength of focus, you lose where you were. People don't really think like that when they're playing like lacrosse, when they're training. They go on their phone all the time and they talk to the people and they whatever, and they're not focused on every single rep. But that is making your training so much worse than you realize. And if you go out there and have a day where you're just like, even no music, but just like completely dialed in and focused, you have a completely different outlook in your training, and it becomes a lot more meaningful. Like, you're not just going through the motions anymore. When people say go through the motions, like don't go through the motions, what they mean is focus. Like, focus on what you're doing every single rep. And it's such a buzzword or whatever, but it's true. Like, if you can dial in on every single rep, you're gonna be better. So my idea right now, what I'm playing is that, okay, yeah, I'm gonna focus as much as I can on these wall ball reps, and that probably won't net me better reps because it's so easy, at least most of what I'm doing. But the idea is, if I can cultivate that skill of focusing on something super mundane, once I get out onto the field, I'm going to play that much better and be able to focus on every single rep that much more. And like, even on top of that, when I was filming some of these reps that I was doing, the part of my brain was focused on the camera instead of focusing on the wall ball reps. And it wasn't that I was like playing worse, but I can notice a disconnection between how much effort, how much focus I was putting into the actual reps. And it probably was worse, like slightly worse. Those types of things you can't even notice, but they do make a difference over time, day over day. And other things I was focusing on catching on the other side of my body with the short stick. I don't really spend a lot of time with that in season. I do a lot of over the shoulder work, but at the pole, it's a little bit harder to cross body catch. So I spent more time working on that, and then hopefully that'll kind of translate. I don't see myself catching here with a long pole, like cross-handed, but again, I think it is just a great skill to have. Like if you can do that, that's good. Like I think I view a lot of gaining skills right now as, if you can do it, it's a good thing. You know, it's like if I can learn to catch like this and release like this in weird places, like I'm never going to do it in a game, but it gives you confidence once you step back out on the field. So that's kind of the idea behind what I'm doing right now. It's just, I can't do much, but what I can do is there's no, it's just my niche. There's no restrictions on my head when I practice. So cultivating that skill, and then hopefully when I get back, it'll kind of translate over, and obviously just stick work too.